Aloha, my name is Rob Hack. I'm from the Hawaii Pacific Export Council in Honolulu. And today you are joining a HiSTEP 2022 kickoff meeting for the island of Kauai. We have several great speakers lined up of all of our partner organizations who are involved in delivering this program to you. But first off, I'd like to introduce Valerie Kubota from the Small Business Administration in Honolulu. SBA in Washington is responsible for giving us the funding for the HiSTEP 2022 program. And that is administered by DBET here in Hawaii. But as an SBA representative in Honolulu, we'd like Valerie to give us a few comments, and we'd also like to thank SBA and DBET for administering this wonderful program. So please, Valerie.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Rob, for the introduction. As Rob mentioned, the U.S. Small Business Administration is very proud to be able to fund the HiSTEP program and work in collaboration with DBET and our resource partners to get out information and technical assistance on the program. And you're going to hear a lot about that today, and we'll leave that to the experts. But I would just also like to mention that SBA does have some SBA export loans available, the Export Working Capital Program, the International Trade Loan Program, and Export Express. And what we can do is we can work in collaboration with our partners, as I mentioned earlier. And if anybody would like any overview on any of these programs, we'd be happy to put something together for you. But we don't want to take away from today, which is you getting the information on the Hawaii State Trade Expansion Program and how it can help your small business. So again, mahalo, Rob, and I can be available, on the call for the rest of the call to answer any questions if anyone has anything at the end, or if you'd like to reach us at our information at the 808-541-2990. We can be happy to answer any questions at that time. So thank you again.
Thank you very much, Valerie. Next up, I would like to introduce Jamie Lum and Mark Ritchie from DBET. As you know, the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism is an integral part of the Hawaii state economy. And these folks are very involved in the exporting part of that economy, and they're the administrators of this grant from SBA, which is a national grant that goes to different states who apply and satisfy the requirements. It's called a STEP program. STEP is State Trade Expansion Program, and in Hawaii, that's been rebranded to the HiSTEP program. So with that, I'd like to introduce Jamie Lum and Mark Ritchie to give us more details about HiSTEP 2022.
Mahalo, Rob, and aloha, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon to hear more about our HiSTEP program. I'm Jamie Lum with DBET, and I'm joined also with my colleague, Mark Ritchie, and we'll be kind of tag teaming our presentation to talk about HiSTEP. Next slide, please, Rob. So as already been mentioned by Rob and Val, HiSTEP is supported primarily through a grant that we received from the U.S. Small Business Administration. And we're fortunate to be able to receive, we have been able to receive funding from them for just about 10 years now. As Rob mentioned, it is a competitive grant. Most of the states do receive it, as well as some of the U.S. territories. So, and the whole point of the program is really to help us to increase the number of companies that are exporting from Hawaii and to increase the dollar amounts of exports from Hawaii. So next slide, please. While DBET is has the responsibility of administering this grant, we do work with all of our partner organizations to carry out the various components of the program. You've already heard from Val from the Hawaii District Office of SBA and Rob Hack with HPEC. And we have our other partners listed there, and we'll have a chance to hear from each one of them after we give our HiSTEP overview. So we look forward to hearing from them. Next slide, please. So what is HiSTEP? It's an export development program. Again, as I mentioned, the whole point when SBA started this program 10 years ago, nationally, we're trying to increase the number of US exports. So again, we've been fortunate to be a recipient of the grant. We have 3 components of our program, and we will be going into more detail of each of these components, but basically 3 integrated components are HiSTEP Export Readiness, which involves training seminars, one-on-one business consulting. Then we have our Hawaii pavilions, where we take Hawaii companies into various trade shows, and we exhibit as a state under the Hawaii brand. And then finally, we have our HiSTEP company assistance, which is direct financial assistance to companies to help them support their export market development costs. Next slide, please. The eligibility for participating in HiSTEP, basically, you have to meet the federal definition of an eligible small business concern. There is a certification that companies have to sign, and basically states that you are a US company, you've been in business for at least a year, that you have products or services that are at least 51% made or value added in the US, and that you have sufficient resources to be able to export. Second eligibility requirement is that you cannot have been barred from receiving federal funds in the past. And then as far as for our Hawaii companies, you have to be registered to do business in the state with DCCA and also with the Department of Taxation. Next slide, please. And now I'll turn it over to Mark.
Great. Thank you, Jamie. And again, my name is Mark Ritchie. I also work at DBED, and I assist Jamie with the HiSTEP program. So as Jamie mentioned, the first component of kind of this comprehensive approach we try to take in terms of developing export markets with Hawaii companies is the export readiness component. And what the export readiness component involves 2 things. One is basically webinars and seminars on export related topics. Those can be issue specific, country specific, and other sort of horizontal things, everything from kind of logistics to exporting to Japan and so forth. Those we offer throughout the year, and starting November this month, and they'll run all the way through September 2022. The other part of the export readiness is once you register with us, then you receive one-on-one business advising. And our resource partners that do that are HPEC, the Hawaii Pacific Export Council, the Small Business Development Centers, the Patsy Mink Center for Business and Leadership, the Veterans Business Center, and HCCC Innovate Hawaii. They all help us with the one-on-one business consulting or business advising. And the goal of that is to find out where you're at, what program components you should be looking at, and how we can try to help you to be successful in this HiSTEP program. Next slide, and over to you. Oh, and these are some of the sessions that we actually do or are programmed for the coming year. The first one we're kicking off with, our State Department of Agriculture will be doing, and that's exporting agricultural products from Hawaii. And that'll be very important. It's just coming up in a couple of weeks. And then as you can see, just to give you a flavor of this, we'll be doing country-specific things on Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and then looking sort of at logistics, financing, and some export plan writing workshops towards the end of the year, where though you're strategically sort of looking at how to incorporate an export plan into your sort of business planning. Next slide, and over to you, Jamie, to talk about pavilions.
So the second component of the program are Hawaii pavilions. And while the last year and a half or so, we haven't had in-person trade shows, many of them have gone virtual, although we did not participate in any, but we do anticipate that in 2022, trade shows will be held in person. So basically, excuse me. So we've designated certain trade shows, and the next slide will show you which ones we have on the calendar. But prior to the trade shows, about 6 months out, 4 to 6 months out, we will send out a recruitment announcement to Hawaii companies, and to have companies participate with us. And the funds are used, so STEP funds are used to subsidize participation in the trade shows for our Hawaii companies. So we'll buy, 10 booths or whatever, depending on what show it is. And then we will fill the booths with Hawaii companies. So, and we're, by subsidizing these shows, we're trying to lower the cost for Hawaii companies. We do charge a participation fee, but it's typically about only maybe a quarter to a third of what a company would spend if they were to go into a show on their own. So we also find advantages in having, companies exhibiting under the Hawaii brand. That's a very powerful marketing tool for companies when we go into these shows. And some of these are really very large, so we need to try to stand out. And then companies have also found it an advantage of being able to, over the course of the show, to be able to talk with Hawaii companies and kind of share experiences and how they are pursuing that particular market. So we find that that's also part of the experience of being part of these Hawaii pavilions. Next slide, please, Rob. So here is a list of the shows that we have on the calendar for 2022. A couple of them, 3 of the shows in particular, are being organized by the Hawaii Department of Agriculture, and I know that they will talk about these shows a little bit more when they speak a little later on the agenda. And just to mention, there are separate, so when companies are interested in going to a show, we'll have a registration form for them to fill out to be able to be accepted into the show. So, okay, next slide. And over to you, Mark.
Mark, you're muted.
Sorry about that. The third component of the HiSTEP program is called company assistance. And that is where we make awards to companies to help pay for a number of their export development costs. And we do this through an RFP, and it is sort of a competitive award depending on how much money we have available. This year, we'll actually have 2 RFPs available. We've decided to divide this up between new to export companies and then market expansion companies. And that's the terminology that SBA uses for the STEP program. New to export companies are companies that really haven't done much exporting. And we include companies in that category that might do a sporadic, shipment to Japan or something like that once in a while, but they do not have well-established distribution channels overseas. Market expansion are companies that already have been exporting and have started to develop certain markets already. With new to export companies, we'll allow a request of a maximum of $5,000. And the reason we're doing that is we want to get younger, smaller companies that may not have a whole lot of revenue, but the opportunity to go into maybe their first trade show overseas, and maybe this can help defray some of those costs. And so we're sort of creating a pipeline of companies that later, maybe a couple of years from now might, come in and apply for the market expansion and might actually be active in overseas markets by that point. So market expansion companies can request a maximum of $15,000. But they also must have at least $200,000 in revenue to apply. The reason we put that in there is we want to make sure that they have the resources to put forward a sustained export development plan. And as we know, these things can take a couple of years to really get off the ground. The RFPs will be posted next Monday on our website, and they will be due January 14th. And then the awards will be made by January 28th. And we have an evaluation committee that looks at them. Hopefully everybody that requests money, as long as their proposals are good, we hope to be able to award money, but it is a competitive process. And some companies might not receive money depending on the plan that they put forward. We say it's a proposal to an answer to an RFP. I don't want to get people nervous. It's not like some big grant proposal. Basically, it's an application, and then we're looking for your a couple of page export development plan. In other words, where you're going, which trade shows you're going into, which markets you're going into, and why, and how are you going to be successful. That's what we're looking for. And so it doesn't have to be a long dissertation, but a couple of pages showing that kind of what you're doing and you have a plan. We'll get into this a little bit later, the metrics that SBA uses for judging us and giving us a grant, but we want you to be successful. And hopefully with this money, you can leverage that and it'll help you be more successful in these export markets. Next slide, please. And over to Jamie to tell you what the money can actually be used for this company assistance portion of the HiSTEP program.
Thanks, Mark. So SBA actually has a list of the kinds of expenses that are covered and that are allowable to be used with HiSTEP funds. And then I will say that in the last year and a half or so during the pandemic, knowing that there have been a lot of trade shows canceled and limitations on traveling, SBA has sort of increased the allowable uses of funding, particularly for e-commerce and for online digital marketing. So those are the first two expenses that we have listed, and it can be used for not only just website development and translation and localization, but things like search engine optimization, for cybersecurity, for fees for using platforms like Rakuten or Amazon, Japan, those types of platforms. And then in the marketing media, it's not only traditional marketing, but also online digital marketing, including social media, ad placements, also translation of different media, including audio and videos. So just to give you that idea. And then also funds can be used to cover airfare for traveling to either trade shows or if you have meetings with buyers. And we do ask that if you're going to travel to meet with buyers, that you have a minimum of 6 meetings. And that's a requirement that we've we've placed on there. Funds can also be used for trade show booth rentals and other trade show expenses for your booth, including if you need to hire an interpreter. And I just want to point out, because sometimes there's confusion when we talk about trade shows under the company assistance, it does not have to be a trade show that we've listed as part of our Hawaii pavilions. In fact, we encourage people to look beyond that. If there are other trade shows, either in a market we're already going to or other markets, you can include that in your plan. Next slide, please. You can also use funds to ship products to and from the trade show. You can use funds for Gold Key service, which we'll be hearing from John Holman in a little bit, and you can hear more about the service that the U.S. Commercial Services offers on the Gold Key service. You can use funds to cover costs for shipping sample products to potential buyers. Excuse me, and then for compliance testing for products that may need to meet certain certification standards in various countries, particularly food products or any sort of skincare products may have this type of requirement. Even in some cases, some apparel, you will have to go through steps to get your products tested and certified. So you can use STEP funds to cover that, as well as subscribing to any sort of research, export research tools, something that will help you to put together your export development plan, make decisions of where you want to go with your product or your service. Next slide, please. And I'll turn it to Mark.
Great, thank you, Jamie. And just before I go into the metrics, I wanted to back up when I was talking about the different webinars that we were doing, and we showed this year's program. I think the countries we were looking at was Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. I want to let you know though, and certain kind of subject topics like logistics and financing. Each year we have a different program, and we actually archive previous years. And so if you don't see like the country you're interested, let's say you're interested in Taiwan. We did a Taiwan in years past. And so you can go to our archive section and actually see those. And actually, I apologize, I forgot to sort of mention that, but we have archives by years and a lot of other export readiness topics that we address there. Thank you, Rob. So now we can go back and look at metrics. So these are the metrics that basically we're looking at and SBA is judging us on, and they're looking to see how successful we are, and then that really determines how much money we'll get next year. So if you're looking at sort of the organization of this program, what we're really looking for and what we're trying to want to help make sure that Hawaii companies are doing is, from a statewide perspective, we want to expand exports and revenue from exports of Hawaii produced goods and services. Also, we're looking at a larger overall number and larger percentage of Hawaii-based companies that are active in global markets. And then thirdly, we're looking at penetration of new markets for Hawaii-produced goods and services. I know the first thing a lot of companies think of for a foreign market is Japan, and that's good, and that might be the appropriate market, but there are also other places in Asia Pacific, also in the world, and we want to make sure that our Hawaii companies aren't missing out on some of those other possibilities as well. So next slide. So if your company is eligible, what do? You basically, the first thing we'd like to do is to register with us so we know who you are and things. And so if you, next slide, Rob, you go to our website, fill that out, and what that starts, oops, go back one, please. What happens is after you fill that out, the registration, you will be assigned a business advisor or advising partner, and that will be either, as mentioned before, the Hawaii Pacific Export Council, Small Business Development Centers, Patsy Mink Center, Innovate Hawaii, or the Veteran Business Centers. And they will work with you. And then At the same time, you could start attending our export readiness seminars and webinars, and you should register or sign up for those. We'll have them on our website where you just register for the ones that you want to attend. And then for the Hawaii pavilions, again, there's a separate application for each trade show. So on our website, we'll have signups or applications for those trade shows. And thirdly, as I mentioned, the RFP for the company assistance or the company awards to help with your export development plans, those will be posted next week, the RFPs. And then there's a link, which is an online submission system for that award program. And the deadline for that is January 14th. And Jamie, do you want to jump in on anything that I missed on this? We're trying to diagrammatically sort of give you the process for the HiSTEP program for 2022 on this.
No, I don't have anything else to add, except just to emphasize again that the difference between registering for HiSTEP and then applying for company assistance. You know, Mark pointed out, it is a separate application process for company assistance, and just want to make that clear because sometimes companies get confused. They think when they submit the HiSTEP registration that they are submitting an application for funding, and just know that it is a separate process. So
just to real quickly answer a question that just came in. We don't call our companies cohorts, but I know a lot of other accelerators and incubators and things use that term. We do, and I'm going to let Innovate Hawaii talk about this later, but there are some cohorts that sort of feed into this on kind of e-commerce for Japan, and we'll kind of get to that later when Innovate Hawaii does their presentation. And lastly, I just want to give our contact information. Jamie's contact information there is mine, and then Lyle Fujikawa, our economic development specialist in our office, also involved in the HiSTEP program. So feel free to contact any of us if you have questions.
Great. Thank you, Mark. I'm going to very quickly bring up the VBOC website just to show attendees at invest.hawaii.gov where they can find a lot of this information. And if they're on this webinar, they're probably already on the DBET mailing list, but if not, please sign up here and tell your friends and colleagues who are interested in exporting or other business activities to please sign up here.
Actually, and Rob, if you could scroll up again just real quickly, I just wanted to point out that the first thing you should do is go and fill out the HiSTEP registration form. That's the first thing you should do. Maybe we should even put that above the other things so you're not immediately clicking on some of these other stuff, because that will bring you into our system. So we'll know who you are, you'll be assigned a business mentor, and you'll have kind of a concierge service through the HiSTEP program, if you will.
So Mark, I'd like to highlight for people who might be new to the program that this is free of charge and there's no obligation or anything like that to sign up.
Right, no obligation to sign up, and also the one on business advising is free of charge. The pavilions, there might be a fee, but it's a heavily discounted fee because we're picking up a lot of the costs behind the pavilions. And then all the export readiness training, seminars, webinars, those are all free as well.
Thank you. I'm the next speaker for the Hawaii Pacific Export Council, and I'd just like to direct people, since I have the browser open, that they can learn a lot about what we do from our archive of videos. If you just go to YouTube and search for Hawaii Pacific Export Council, also our website is hawaiiexportsupport.com, but the next talk will give those details as well. We are a nonprofit in Honolulu, and we are comprised of, at any given time, approximately 30 to 35 board members who are volunteers like me and have been vetted by the U.S. Department of Commerce, and we have to be appointed to our terms by the Commerce Secretary. We have 3-year terms that can be renewed. And to be vetted, we have to show that we have been deeply involved in the exporting process during our careers. And so we have a very wide breadth of knowledge on the Export Council, from finance people to international lawyers to logistics people, exporters who are manufacturers or providers of services who are exporters. So the point being that if you are assigned to HPEC as one of your mentors, you will have a great depth of knowledge there. And it's very unlikely that somebody on our board has not seen your exact issue and can help you expedite through that process. So again, our website is hawaiiexportsupport.com, and here is our YouTube channel. Now, I'd like to introduce John Holman, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today, so he sent this video. John Holman is the U.S. government's commercial service officer from the Department of Commerce in Hawaii. He's the sole employee of the commercial service in Hawaii. And by charter, he is the executive secretary of the Hawaii Pacific Export Council. And so here's a quick video about 6 minutes long from John Holman, and then I'll be back right after the video.
Aloha, everyone. My name is John Holman, and I serve as the Director of the Pacific here for the U.S. Commercial Service, U.S. Department of Commerce here in Honolulu, Hawaii. And I want to thank our partners at DBED for doing a phenomenal job in running the HiSTEP program. Hawaii has received more funds per capita than almost any other state in the nation, thanks to the great work of the people at DBED and all of the partners that support the HiSTEP program. They're doing a wonderful job on your behalf. Today, I'm going to share with you a little bit about our organization, some of the resources we have on order to support your business as you look to grow internationally. So our organization, again, is the U.S. Commercial Service. And I always like to start off with the 3 keys to doing business in terms of exporting, doing business internationally. Those 3 things. Number 1, most important thing is motivation. Companies that get out there, connect with potential buyers, that go to trade shows, and really make an effort are the ones that succeed. Companies may have a great product or service, but if they're not proactive, then they're not going to be successful internationally. Number 2, key to doing business internationally is identifying the path of least resistance. What market can you get into in the least amount of time with the lowest cost and then generate the greatest return? That is your path of least resistance. A lot of companies want to go to China or to Japan for their first market, and those markets can be very difficult for a new exporter. Identifying the path of least resistance is key. And then number 3 to export success is finding great partners. These are the people on the other side who are going to be receiving your goods or services and making sure you get paid or representing your brand. It's key that you have good partners on the foreign side. And that's one of the things we do at the U.S. Commercial Service, is helping you to find great partners. U.S. Commercial Service is your global network. We are your tax dollars at work. I'm here in Honolulu, but I act as the entry point to a global network of 250 offices in 80 countries around the globe. And our goal is to help companies like yours to grow and succeed internationally. Last year, for every dollar in taxpayer funding we received, we turned that into $360 in sales for U.S. companies. Not a bad return on investment. What kind of companies do we work with? Well, your business must be registered in the U.S. The content of your products or services must be at least 51% by volume or value. If you import pianos from China and want to re-export them, nothing wrong or illegal about that. We just can't use our tax dollars to support them. So if your products are at least 51% content, then we can support you with our resources. Also, your business needs to be export ready. So you either have some export sales, maybe through your website, you've identified some path of least resistance markets for your business. And if you don't know the answers to those questions, that's okay. You can get a ton of fantastic training through the HiSTEP program and our partners at the Hawaii Pacific Export Council. And you can start at that web link there, where we have a library of resources of export seminars. You want to look for Export University as a great place to start. Our services, resources could be broken down in these four main categories. Market research helps you to identify that path of least resistance. My colleagues in 80 countries around the world are boots on the ground with intelligence. What's happening? What are the trends? What are the market barriers? How can we get you into these markets? Trade events used to be in person, increasingly virtual. Some are starting to go back to in-person events, and we help to conduct matchmaking at major trade shows for US companies and foreign partners in countries around the world, and also in Las Vegas, where many major trade shows happen. So if you have a major industry trade show, check on our website, trade.gov, to see if we have any matchmaking programs there. And then international partners. So as I mentioned, having great partners is key. And we do that through what we call the Gold Key service. So if you tell us who you would like to connect with, maybe the Whole Foods equivalent store in Korea, or maybe you need a distributor in Canada. You tell us who you're looking to connect with. We will contact companies that meet that criteria, tell them about your business, your products, and those that are interested and pre-screened by the US government, we'll put you together with them via introductory meetings, and that can be really effective. And then finally, consulting. Any of those questions you have about the nuts and bolts of exporting, how to protect your intellectual property, what kind of documents do you need to ship, anything you need along the process of exporting, we can help to answer those questions for you. There's some great resources here, export.gov, also trade.gov, HawaiiExportSupport.com is our local website, and then the export videos library on YouTube is a fantastic resource there, so definitely check those out. Cost of our services, where your tax dollars at work, we're not allowed to make any money, but when we do a service for you in country, overseas, we have to charge a cost recovery fee. So for most businesses in Hawaii, if you have less than 500 employees, then those fees are very reasonable. For the Gold Key service of matchmaking with partners, it's just $950 per country. Thank you so much. Here's my contact details. Feel free to reach out with any questions or interest in our resources, and we'll be sure to get you connected. Thanks so much, and back to our partners at DBED.
Great. Thank you virtually, John. Now, our next speaker is from SBDC, the Small Business Development Center in Kauai. It is Robbie Melton. And Robbie, if you could please tell us about SBDC and what you're doing there regarding exports. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. Yeah, the Kauai Small Business Development Center, we're a network of business centers across Hawaii that provide business services to all types of businesses, whether it's an idea that you're thinking about doing, to full-fledged companies that have been in business 25, 30 years. We do a lot of business strategy, business advising that includes either launching your product, helping you think through how you're going to start your company, if you're an existing company and you want to add new products or move into new markets, then that's another thing we do. We also help, as you've been hearing today, international expansion. I'm working with a number of companies on Kauai that are looking to expand globally. We also do things like employment, marketing strategy, financial analysis. And we are not here just to answer a question. We're really here for the long haul. I call it continual mentoring. So we might be working with you for several months, and then we might get you situated, and then maybe 6 months or a year later, something new has come up and you need additional help. So we also help with that. We help with money management, personnel, And the main thing, like during the pandemic, we also helped with finances. So we helped applying for any of the PPP, any of the SBA loan programs. We help with a lot of the state grant programs, some of the things that HTDC offers. We've done that. So we not only help you get ready, but we help you get your financials in order to apply for loans and grants. Like I said, we're across the state. Also, just like HiSTEP, our services are free. So you don't need to worry about spending money. Right now, we're not open physically. So we're meeting with companies either through Zoom or by telephone. It's really easy. You just contact us at the office and we can get you set up. We also work with nonprofits. And so I have a couple of companies that are looking to become a nonprofit, so we can help you do that. And we work with any industry, from retail, restaurants, tech companies, biotech companies, ag tech. So there's a lot of ag tech here on Kauai. We do a lot of value added production, so we can help with that. Also, we get industry data. So if you're looking to expand in a particular market overseas, we actually have access to very expensive market analysis data that you wouldn't be able to afford access to. So we can actually get you acquainted with that. And like DBED, we also have workshops that can help you with your product. So here you see you've got our phone number, and you can register to get assistance on our HISBDC.org website. And depending on what island you're on, if you're on Kauai, just look for Business Advisory Services on Kauai and check that and sign up. So I think I did a very quick, because I know we're running out of time, but just a quick overview of what we do. But again, all of us have years of experience. I have like 25 years of experience working with startup and long-term companies in a variety of industries. So we're here and happy to help you as much as we can. Thank you.
Wonderful, Robbie. Thank you very, very much. Our next presenter is Colleen McAlooney from the Patsy T. Mink Center for Business and Leadership. They are a wonderful organization that help very new companies that are just starting out. And with that, I'd like to ask for Colleen to tell us about her organization.
Great, thanks, Rob. Can you just confirm that you're hearing and seeing me? I had to switch to my phone this afternoon.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Great, welcome everybody. The Patsy T. Mink Center for Business and Leadership is a women's business center. We are funded by the Small Business Administration, and we are located at YWCA Oahu. We're happy to help any of the small businesses on the island of Kauai, and we provide free business and legal counseling to small businesses. We are a women's business center, so we're focused on women-owned businesses, but we do help men as well. We provide a nurturing, warm environment here. So we're here to help beginning businesses or people who have an idea for a business and how they want to start a business, or how looking for information on the details needed to get started. And then early businesses in their early lives, so like 1 to 2 or 3 years. So we are proud to be a supporter of the HiSTEP program, and would love to help any of the businesses that are looking to see what they need in order to get ready for exporting. So please reach out. If we provide all of our counseling via phone, so we can help anybody on any of the neighbor islands. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you very much, Colleen. I would suggest anybody who's listening in to please go to the Patsy Mink Center website and register with them and look at their list of events that they have. They have an impressive amount of activities every year that have to do with starting a business or running a small business, some of which has nothing to do with exporting, but just still some very interesting programs. So please check them out when you can. Our next speaker is Lori Hiramatsu from the Veterans Business Outreach Center. Lori.
Hi, can you hear me, Rob?
Yep.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Jamie and Mark, for allowing me to share information about the Veterans Business Outreach Center of the Pacific. I am a business advisor for VBOC. Our organization is funded via a cooperative agreement between the University of Hawaii at Hilo and the U.S. Small Business Administration, the Office of Veterans Business Development. So our mission is to provide entrepreneurship training and services to veterans, transitioning and active duty service members, National Guard and the reservists, and military spouses for all branches of the military. The type of services or business support that we provide includes no-cost training sessions and one-on-one counseling services that includes assistance with your business plan, your business model, your projections, exporting, whether you're planning to start or if you're already exporting, you're looking to different markets, access to capital, manufacturing, government contracting, and much more. One of our main responsibilities is to conduct what we call the Boots to Business and Reboot programs, which is conducted under the Department of Defense for the regions that we serve. Our center services the state of Hawaii, Guam, and American Samoa, although we do have VBOC centers throughout the nation. Dennis Kwok is our director, and I have another business advisor, Victoria Anulite. And this week, he's not able to attend today because this week we launched the National Veterans Business Week, and in honor of the veteran business owners. So if you hop into our website, which is listed on the slide, we have several sessions or training sessions coming up, including 2 QuickBooks sessions and a marketing fundamentals. On staff, we do have 2 export certified advisors to help you if you decide to go to the export route, but we also pair with a lot of our other resource partners because everybody has different areas of expertise. So we do call upon them to join in with us and do a collaboration. So, you're not alone, and, so don't go down this path, export entrepreneurship path alone. You have a lot of resources available to you. So please tap into the many resources. Thanks, Rob.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lori. Our next speaker is David Sickink. He's the administrator of the Foreign Trade Zone in Honolulu. It's a wonderful facility, and I'd like to ask David to tell us about it, and any outreach that the zone has to Kauai would be greatly appreciated.
Certainly, Rob. Again, my name is David Sickink. I'm with the Foreign Trade Zone program here in Honolulu. And we are, again, I want to say, Rob, excited to be a partner with HiSTEP again this year. It's a great program and a great way to get out and start exporting and getting our products out to the world here. So you might have heard the term free trade zone or foreign trade zone. You're not sure what that is. Well, a foreign trade zone really is the US counterpart to the world's free trade zone. We also call them FTZs here. What they are is a secure area on US soil that is authorized by the federal government, but considered to be outside the US customs territory. So this means that goods can be brought in, stored, and even used in manufacturing in an FTZ and be treated as if they're still in that foreign country. So this means that both foreign and domestic merchandise can be held in that FTZ free of all duties and certain taxes until the goods are either declared and brought into the US for our consumption, used in manufacturing, where you might see a lower duty rate on the final product that's actually manufactured, or exported. So really the idea behind that foreign trade zone is to encourage US businesses to grow and employ people by deferring, reducing, or eliminating customs duties on those imported goods, specifically with that view for exported manufactured goods. So we here at FTZ 9, we are a state entity. We're part of DBED. And a lot of it seems to be very Oahu-centric, but we actually service the entire state of Hawaii on behalf of the federal government. Now, you may have heard about our facility at Pier 2 here and thought that maybe in order to benefit from the program that you have to be here in Honolulu. And that's not necessarily the case. If you are a warehouse operator or even a manufacturer and would like to take advantage of FTZ benefits, we can help you establish your facility as an active foreign trade zone. So you get those foreign trade zone benefits right at your location, anywhere in the state of Hawaii. Now, we can work with you to help submit a draft application to the federal government for zone status, and then also ensure that your company meets Customs and Border Protection operational and security standards that are necessary to operate a foreign trade zone. But again, if you don't have that or need some help, certainly we've created here at our Pier 2 facility the hub of international trade for Hawaii. And what that means is that we have all sorts of resources available for you at the touch of your fingertips. Out of the 7 or 8 local customs brokerage houses that we have here in Honolulu or in Hawaii, we have 5 of them here at our location. We have shipping agents, the One Network, which is the main shipper out of China, located here at our facility. We have logistics providers, as well as that Office of U.S. Commercial Services. You heard the video of John Holman just a few moments ago, who can work with you to find those export markets for your products. His office is here at our location, and we already service over 300 clients, and we are here to help you. So we'd be happy to talk with you and find out more about what you do and what ways that we can help you get your products out to that international market. Our contact information is located on the screen. And again, if you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to reach out to us. We're here to give you a hand. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, David. Wonderful. Our next speakers are from the Hawaii Department of Agriculture, and we have Yukashi Smith and Sharon Hurd will tell us about upcoming programs put on by the Department of Agriculture. I will highlight, though, that on November 18th, our first HiSTEP 2022 webinar is specific to agricultural products. That's at 9 a.m. So please, if you're interested in agricultural exports, please join that webinar. So Yukashi, are you here?
Yes, thank you, Rob.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Yukashi Smith, Economic Development Specialist at Hawaii Department of Agriculture, Market Development Branch. One of our goals to develop and expand markets for Hawaii ag and food manufacturers. So organizing Hawaii Pavilion at major trade shows plays a key role to achieve that goal. I would like to say thank you to DBED and SBA for the generous STEP grant and allowing us to be part of this STEP program. So as Jamie mentioned earlier, organizing Hawaii Pavilion is beneficial for Hawaii companies by reducing the cost of participation, by sharing the space and resources. And so we will be able to organize Hawaii Pavilion with the STEP grant in 2022. Those are the trade shows we'll be organizing Hawaii Pavilion. So there are 3 international trade shows, Gulf Food, Foodex, and IFIA. So let me switch with Sharon Hurd, our branch manager. She's going to be talking about Gulf Food trade show.
Thank you. We're doing the Saturday Night Live shifting of seats, but thank you very much again to SBA and DBED for allowing us to be part of STEP. I want you to know that the USA is very well represented globally at trade shows, and that is as a result of programs like this that provide funding and signage and advertising. The other thing that helps us make robust sales at global international trade shows is our food safety certification and our good reputation for having healthy and clean products. Let me talk a little bit about Gulf Food. Dubai, the Middle East, the GCC area is very much dependent on imports, just like we are in Hawaii. Their issue, however, is that they can't grow it. We have such great products that I hope we can show them off at Gulf Food. Gulf Food has always been a big, robust selling platform for Hawaii, for USA products. It has never been one for Hawaii products. We've never shown at Gulf Food. So speaking directly to all you Kauai guys tuning in right now, coffee would be a big seller. And I mentioned dried fruits before, but I know Kauai has a lot of products to offer. Please consider Gulf Food as a place that you could, even if you don't have a booth, which we would encourage you to, but feel free to walk the show and check it out, because the USA Pavilion is shoulder to shoulder with buyers. And you can take a visit to the other pavilions and you will see that they are not crowded at all. So we'll see you at Gulf Food.
Okay, the next show is FoodX Japan Trade Show. FoodX Trade Show is the Asia's largest food show. And pre-pandemic days, that show all used to be attracting 80,000 buyers from all the food sectors, including retail, hospitality, food service. All the professionals are coming to that event. So we always have Hawaii Pavilion in this show and representing different food, coffee, macadamia nuts, teas and beverages, you name it, everything is, and all the companies collaborate in this Hawaii Pavilion, and we can market as Hawaii. This is very beneficial for any food suppliers to go to this show. On the other hand, if you don't have a packaged products or the food to serve to the food service industry, but you have a functional ingredients or coloring you can add to supplements or any food manufactured products, I feel is the one to go. It's an ingredients show, and the buyers are different set of buyers from FoodX. So they are food scientists or food technologists, and we have those that food scientists inviting to our booth for technical questions you might have to answer. And we have domestic trade shows, National Restaurant Association show, always held in Chicago. This is for the food service suppliers. And if you're a fresh producer using growing basil, Asian vegetables or fruits, always the Fresh Summit, Produce Marketing Association Fresh Summit food show is the largest produce show in the US. So we are having this Hawaii Pavilion, those shows, and those 4 shows we are absent. I mean that those 4 shows are canceled the last 2 years. So we should be able to go back to 2022 and reconnect with the buyers and making connection with new buyers as well. So if you're interested in any of these shows, please go to our website and fill in the online application form at hdoa.hawaii.gov/ADD/MD. And also please contact any of us, Sharon Hard, myself, or Karen Sir, who is also the economic development specialist at HDOA. So we'll be looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Excellent, Yukashi-san. Thank you very much. Our final speaker of the webinar today is Nicole Pfeffer from HTDC Innovate Hawaii. They have some very interesting international outreach programs coming up in this current cycle. So we'd love to hear some details from Nicole, please.
Thanks, Rob. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Pfeffer, and I'm a project engineer at HCCC Innovate Hawaii. We are a state agency attached to the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, and we're also the state's NIST Manufacturing Extension Partnership Center and help small and medium manufacturers to scale their businesses. In partnership with the HiSTEP program, we will be launching an internationalization to Japan e-commerce and digital marketing assistance program. Companies looking to sell products to Japanese consumers through e-commerce and digital marketing are encouraged to apply. Selected companies will be awarded a vendor engagement valued at up to $10,000 to expand their existing e-commerce website and enhance digital marketing capabilities to take on the Japanese market. Companies must have an existing e-commerce website in English to apply. For more information and to apply to the program, please visit htdc.org/HiSTEP-program. Starting in late January, we will be hosting our 4th e-commerce and digital marketing cohort program. This 10-week program will be divided into 2 tracks, e-commerce and digital marketing, and will include workshops along with one-on-one consulting sessions with industry experts. If you are interested in applying for the cohort program, please email us at mep@htdc.org. Applications are now open for the Hawaii SBIR program, which provides matching grants to help Hawaii companies further the development of new products to solve critical issues. The HSBIR program provides up to 50% match, or up to $75,000, for companies receiving federal Phase 1 SBIR STTR awards. Companies may also apply for the Phase 0 grant writer reimbursement up to $3,000 for their initial grant application. For more information and to apply to this program, please visit htdc.org/money. Some of our other services include food safety training, including FSMA, process optimization with lean manufacturing, robotics and automation support, and audit prep and assessments for Costco and other retailers. We will also be starting our 3rd high school manufacturing certification cohort next year. If you're a manufacturer interested in engaging the next generation of workforce through a virtual tour, guest speaking opportunity, or even an internship and job placement program, please reach out to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicole. That was great. That was our final word on our partners today, but if there's any questions, please type them in and we will answer them to the best of our ability. While people are typing in questions, I'm going to go back to the DBET presentation and bring up the list of events for this year as part of the HiSTEP program. I'd like to reiterate that towards the end of the program, these are tentative dates that I'm still working to solidify the speaker agenda, but the more front end here, agricultural products, of course, Export University, and e-commerce for Hawaii exporters. These are solidified, so please sign up and attend these. We have a question. I think we could direct this to DBET, but I can also chime in. Is HiSTEP focused mainly on export to Japan, New Zealand, Australia? Or what about Europe or Mexico? Jamie, Mark, do you want to take a crack at that?
Oh, I tried to answer that a bit earlier. I think just in these 10, these like 10-month programs that we do, once or twice a month where we do these sessions, and HPAC organizes this for us. We try to take different subject areas and do different regions of the world. Yes, this year we're doing Japan, New Zealand, Australia, but in prior years, we've done things like on Taiwan. I think we've done EU before, Canada. So we are doing other parts of the world, and no, we're not specifically kind of pushing one location over another. Those previous years are archived on the DBED website. So I would encourage people to go to the DBED website, and then you can sort of see some of the past year webinars that we have done via Zoom that have been recorded, and to see if you could find not only regions of the world, but also subject matter that we've covered in those prior years as well.
I would highlight too, on the archive of past webinars, please look at USMCA, which is the Mexico-Canada US agreement. It's kind of the follow-on from NAFTA, the renegotiated part of NAFTA. And there's some really good ideas there that I think a lot of our Hawaii companies gravitate towards Japan, China, some of these markets, which are not the easiest markets to be your first export market. And there's a lot of benefit to trying to cut your teeth, if you will, on Canada or Mexico as part of that free trade agreement. So please have a look at that. And as Mark said, there's a lot in the archive there that you can see. The next question is, will we get recordings and these presentations? Yes, I will edit this video somewhat just to take out some extraneous information and post it to our YouTube channel, and DBET will also put it on their archive, and I can send out these PDFs of the PowerPoint slides to anybody who wants them. Just let me know. Another question, many companies have niche products and there isn't published market research available. What can a company do to get better data? One thing, John Holman from the U.S. Commercial Service alluded to their staff, the commercial service officers in various embassies and consulates around the world. I think that that's a wonderful place to start. And then there are plenty of private market research firms who can help you with that. But I would really encourage our attendees to look at the U.S. Commercial Service first and foremost. And then if you need super specific in-country data, look for a private market research company.
And can I just remind people that that is an eligible cost for the HiSTEP company assistance if you're looking for specifically, you know, if somebody, if it's very specific to a product. I know we talked with one company that manufactures spirits, and they actually pay for some pretty sophisticated data for their particular product and their industry that helped direct them to markets that would be you know, beneficial for their product. So just a reminder.
Here's a question. With a new split in the applications for funding from HiSTEP, what can a new company use for get with $5,000? And I'm going to chime in here, not as a DBET employee, but certainly follow up here. Compared to the past, this $5,000 that's available was only available if you had $2,000 or $200,000 in funding, I mean, in revenue to support you. And now that has, that barrier has been removed. So actually $5,000 to me is extremely generous for a small company without a whole lot of resources to back that up. Would you like to chime in on that?
Yes, we instituted this because first of all, I mean, it takes a lot of money to develop an export plan, and we expect companies to have skin in the game. It's not we're 100%, you know, paying for all of this, but what it is designed to do is to help, you know, discount some of the costs of developing an export program and going overseas. So we started this one where we took the revenue requirement off, and we're really looking at new to export companies, like a company that's never been to a trade show overseas. And so this might be the first time that a company, maybe they'll participate in one of our pavilions or not, but if they do, that this could probably pick up some airfare, some booth costs, and this will help smaller companies that are just starting out kind of get into the market before they actually could apply for kind of the market expansion RFP or the proposal on that, where we want you to have $200,000 in revenue and already have experienced some export markets.
Great. the STEP money be used to hire someone to get market research data, or could you only use it to buy an already published report?
The question, answer to that is it kind of depends, because one of the first sources of information that SBA wants companies to go to is to use the U.S. Commercial Service, the export.gov and trade.gov. And once, if it's determined that that information is not available and it might be something that's more specialized, then they may be able to find someone that can get that information. But it's kind of on a case-by-case basis.
Great. And who would the company ask for?
They would have to come through us, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Will there be any sessions on exporting to Canada in the HiSTEP 2022 cycle? And I can answer that and say, no, there's nothing planned right now. What we do have planned is Australia and New Zealand in one event, and then Japan in a later event. But if you look back at our archive of videos, you will see 2 Canada-specific events that we've done in the past. And I think we'll probably look at Canada next year.
And also, that's a good point, Rob. People are welcome to, throughout the year, send Rob an email or Jamie or me an email and make suggestions of things that they want covered. I mean, do look at the archives, kind of look at what we have now, but we're always open to new suggestions on subject areas or regions that we might want to cover.
Great. Okay, there are no further questions from the attendees. So with that, I'd like to wrap up and say thank you very much to our attendees for joining. We look forward to welcoming you into the world of exporting, or if you're already in that world, we look forward to helping you increase your exports beyond what you're doing now. I'd also like to extend a warm thank you to all of our speakers today. Our partner organizations are fantastic, and they can all provide a great deal of value to your business. So please contact them if you have any issues whatsoever. And thank you again to SBA for the STEP grant, and to DBET for administering the HiSTEP grant. So thanks for that. With that, we'll close and hopefully see you all later in 2021 or at sometime in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Aloha.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.